Well, let's get this bad boy started, Patricia. You don't have to participate because I mean, unless you want to do that sultry intro.
Well, yes, ladies, thank you. Welcome to 2025. We appreciate you all being here. We're excited today because I think this is important. I think when we decided to do, start the what we were going to talk about, and for in terms of education, I think this was important. And Cassandra kicking us off, I think it's a good thing because right now, we're coming off a hard year. We're praying and hoping this is going to be a better year, right? We're being positive, and it's basically you know, kind of opening up your horizons a little bit. I'm doing something right now. I'm doing a challenge, and it's kind of taught me to change my avatar up a little bit. So, try to find that niche or find what you're looking for, something just different to add. Doesn't mean you can't sell whatever, but it's good to have, some extra, let's open it up a little bit. So I think it's really important, and I appreciate everybody joining. So I'll let Cass talk now and I'll shut up.
Yeah. Thank you, Patricia. You guys welcome. This is our first mastermind of the year. We have tons of really good ones scheduled for you, but today, a great way to kick off the year. Hopefully everyone is ready, set, and willing to go along with me here. We are doing pillars of business here in 2025 and beyond. So we all kind of have our pillars, right? Usually, three, four ideas of what we want to do. And there's thousands of different pillars out there, right? Lots of different like little niches and everything. But how did you pick those? And a lot of the times, what I've seen, especially with like newer agents, when I was a new agent and trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my business, I had no idea. Like they were like, "Oh, just call it expireds or go to FISBOs." And I'm like, "That's it?" Like just as a newer agent or as someone who has, been working a couple pillars very strongly, the question is like where can we expand? How can we expand? And what are we going to actually do? So like if you told me like if I went and said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do expireds this year." Little do y'all know, like I hate cold calling people. I hate cold marketing people. I really struggle with like that cold call. So like expireds or FISBOs are really, really difficult for me to want to do because it's like that's just not what I vibe with and that's just not how I work. So picking something like that is really, really difficult. But there are so many different avenues that we can take. So I'm gonna go and share my screen and oh no, hold shift to select two desktops. Is this a problem? Desktop two. Oh no. So I got a new, oh,
You can do it. I
I,
believe in you.
Oh, you got it.
well, I have an exclamation point that says it's not going to share it. I got a new computer. Hold on. I got a new computer and
She
I went
stepped into the
from,
hack world. It's
I
different.
did. So now, uh-oh, later. Okay, it said quit and rejoin. I did not like that. See, I should have known that this was, oh, here we go. We're good. Share. Ding, ding, ding. All right. So if anyone of my assistants, lovely Frosi or Maisan, if you can just watch the chat because I'm really bad at it. All right, so ladies, pillars to 2025 and beyond. I've spent a lot of time kind of figuring out what things we do, what we don't do. So for the people that don't know me and kind of where my history lies, I actually used to be a category manager of a C-store chain of 500 stores in 10 states when I was 26 years old. I was in charge of about $144 million a year in sales across the 10 states. And so I had a lot of responsibility. I relocated to Portland in December of 2017 and got my license in the beginning of 2018. But I have been an investor in Flipper since 2011. Right now, I'm married. For now, no, I'm just kidding. I own a farm just outside of Vancouver, Washington, and I like to do lots of fun things like gardening, hiking, traveling, fishing. And I used to drink wine. I have picked a life of sobriety now. So it's been since October. It's been fun. and it's just make me feel better. But I'm not doing remodeling anymore because I just can't. So the first thing I want to start out with when we are doing this exercise, it can be participatory. What is your why? Like, why are you in real estate? Why do you choose to sell real estate? And it's very important for you to have and know this because we are going to come back to it in the later slides. So take a second and think to yourself, kind of, what is your why? My why is, I spent all that time in corporate America and them telling me what I was worth, telling me what hours I needed to work, what metrics I needed to make, things that I needed to do, and I was like, okay, like no, I got so tired of it. I got to a point, and I'll be really honest with you, like I was working 70 hours a week, and I know I was not making anywhere near what my counterparts in other categories were making because I was a 26-year-old female and everybody else was old enough to be my dad. And so when I walked in to leave and they said, well, what do you need to stay? And I more than doubled my salary and they didn't blink at it. I knew that that was it. So not only is that part of my why, my mother is also disabled and I take care of her financially. I've taken care of her for quite a long time. She got hurt on the job when I was 17, fully disabled at 22. I'm almost 40. I've been taking care of her since then. She can do things, but financially, like it's I'm able to give back because she gave me so much in my younger years. What else is my why? What are your whys? Does anybody want to share kind of their why and why they do real estate? Procy?
I'll go first. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Frozy. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So I am a wife, a mother, a woman, all of the things. And for the longest time, my identity has been wrapped up in my kids, right? And so my why has always been to provide for my children and do all those things. And only recently did I realize that, again, Cass, like you said, that's a part of my why. So I put it in the chat. And my why is to be the hero in my own story. So I am pursuing real estate because that's what pays the bills. I would never say that it's been the thing that I've been the most passionate about, but it has become a major passion for me. And I am the breadwinner of my family. I am the only person bringing in an income. I have two small children and a husband at home that I need to support as well as myself, and a crazy cheese addiction. So I have to make the money. In order to do that, I have to sell some real estate and I have to help grow and build my team and I have to do all those things. So I've simplified it to be the hero in my own story. So that's my why.
what about you, Procy? What's your why?
Okay, my wife, when I started, it was a bad experience with my real estate agent. I said, like, I can do this better. But then when I realized that I can make money, my husband has been a teacher. And so we all know that teachers are not well paid. And obviously, we relocated to Houston for a better life from our country, Venezuela. And so even though we have college degrees and everything, we couldn't work here as a professional. So he had to go to education to get our green card and everything. So we realized that with real estate, we can make money. And so that's the breadwinner, like mainly because obviously his income is not that great. And so he now joined me 2 years ago and we are growing and we are hoping that he can retire sooner from teaching so we can keep growing and provide more to our kids that we brought them here for a better life. So
Thank you for sharing. It's everybody's why is different, right? But there's similarities in there as well. Like why did a lot of people get into real estate? Well, it's definitely not because they thought it was easy. If they thought it was easy, they are in for a treat. So, you know, things we've covered kind of like why are you a realtor? Family needs to be your own boss, scheduled money, easy. Not really. So where the next thing I'm going to ask you guys to dig into, and if you haven't done so already, where did your business come from in well, it should say 2024, 2024. So I know that I just went over this with my coach this morning, and of my business, 50% of my business came from agent to agent referrals. 50%. So that is huge. The other thing is a good portion, about 25 to 30% of my business came from YouTube. And then the rest came from my sphere of influence. I didn't have a very large sphere of influence. I'm kind of one of those like extroverted introverts where like once I'm home, I want to stay home. So it's very difficult for me to like go out and go into events and like want to go out and meet tons and tons of new people without like scheduling it. And so like doing that in my community has been really difficult. I don't have kids, so I can't use the schools. Like I have to get involved with something and I just want to farm and sell real estate. So my sphere has not grown nearly as much as it should or could, but it's been growing. I've been getting more deals from there. So, where did your business come from? Because this is going to be huge as we move forward. You want to know what we're going to look at and what we're going to look into is what has similarities to where your business came from. Because if you like doing something, like I like networking and traveling, well, agent to agent referrals, I go to conferences, I spend a lot of time with clients or with other agents, and they get to know me and they just see that like I can take good care of the clients in my area. So then they're like, I want to work with you. But so understanding like I like to network like that because we all, let's be honest, we all like to sit and commiserate some days. And when you have someone that understands, like another agent, it's great. Like my husband, I love to tell him my problems, but he doesn't always understand like what that means because he just doesn't deal with it. So, what are some common pillars of business that people are using today? So we have sphere of influence, agent to agent referrals. We have all sorts of social media, open houses, door knocking, farming, community activities. Maybe you have an attorney or a lender you get business from. Google my business websites, expired Frisbos, and all that pay per click, Zillow.com, realtor buying leads, right? So there's those common pillars, but um why these pillars? Why are you using the pillars that you are? What brought you into those pillars? Think about that. Is it who you know? Is it what you know? Maybe who you know, maybe you're on the PTA. So like that PTA is like a pillar. So you're using that as your sphere of influence and you're using those people. Or maybe what you know. You know a lot about video editing and you know a lot about the neighborhood and you decided that like YouTube is your jam. I know Frosi and I have talked about, we were talking about YouTube, and I was like, another language. Do your YouTube channel in another language, like in your native language or one of the languages that because there's a chance that is not out there. So if you're already doing YouTube in English, do it in Spanish, do it in, what other languages. There's a gal in my network. She knows Russian. I'm like, there's so many Russian speaking folk in my area, go in. Maybe why you're in a pillar is because what others have told you. Like your principal broker when you were first getting in was like, you have to do expireds. Like that's another option. Well, obviously they might have been losing a little creativity. Um, so you're probably not creatively thinking yet and looking at the thousands of different options there are for pillars of business. So before we get into all the more fun ones, let's talk about the funnel. Has everyone heard of or heard when people talk about funnel of business, what that is? So obviously you got the people up here that aren't going to transact for about a year. You got the people down here that are ready to transact now at the bottom of the funnel. So you want to ultimately have a full funnel. So we have a year, somewhere in here, they're about 9 months. Then you got the 6 month mark, the 3 month mark, and then the now business. So when you're thinking about your pillars, where do they fit in this funnel? Are they all at that year mark? Are some of the pillars that you're working at the 6 month mark? Are some of them, are they all at the now mark? You want to fill that funnel. So let's talk about some of the common ones that are out there. Okay, so expireds, Zillow.com, Realtor.com, agent to agent referrals. Those are a lot of those times, those are now. These people are ready to transact. They're ready to go. 3 months, it might be Google My Business, some door knocking. People aren't quite ready to transact. They want to get to know you. They want to do some research. So you're right there. Other activities, you might have, if you're doing anything on Facebook or community activities or volunteering activities, those can be 6 months to a year plus because you need to spend time really building those relationships outside of real estate. Like you're just getting to know them. So like if you're on like a volleyball team, and they know you're a realtor. Like they're probably not going to use you right away. I mean, I was on a volleyball team for 2 years and I finally got a client from it. It wasn't from the lack of trying because that we always talked about work, we got beers, we talked about things back then. And it's just, they weren't ready to go or they didn't have someone ready to go. But it takes time to build that trust and to build that friendship with people, especially when you're doing those activities and you don't see them as often. If you're doing pay-per-click ads, like those people probably aren't ready to go right away either. From everyone that I've talked to, just because they're looking at things definitely doesn't mean they're ready. And if people are coming to you through websites or farmings or lender or attorneys, sometimes they're not ready either. So that's where we talk a little bit about kind of the niche marketing or the like being more creative with your pillars. So we've kind of identified where your business is coming from. Now, is there something that is like pillar adjacent that you can use? So, things in here we've got like probate. So I've things I know, like my dad passed away and I had to deal with probate. So now I know a lot about the probate process. So I feel like I could add probate to my business. Is there something that you have gone through in your life that you can do? First time home buyer. Okay. I think we all at one point were a first time home buyer and can relate to how they feel. Is that something you want to add in? Another niche would be like Gen Z. Are they, or maybe condos? Condos are really, really popular if you're in like the Florida area or if you're living in a more dense urban setting. This might be something that you could look into. Divorce, downsizing, foreclosures, renters moving from rentals into owning. There's so many different ways. So here, this is a great one for you. Here are just some of the niches that we have, that you could enter into that would be adjacent to some of the practices that you're already doing. But remember, we got to keep in mind the funnel. So you've got demographic, different ones, different ages, different. I know we have to be careful around that. But if you are a single mom, chances are you're probably around other single moms. If you are, if you're someone that has relocated to the country, you probably know people that have also done that. So that is part of your network. Maybe that's something that you could step into because you know a little bit about it and you can speak to your expertise. Property types. I like to remodel houses. So I tend to find a lot of people that want to work with fixer-uppers and they want my knowledge. They want to get into doing that type of thing. So those people are someone that I can work with and I could market to. Or, maybe you're looking for a specific location, maybe just one specific zip code around your house or a really popular area or a school district. These are all different types of niches and areas that you can look at to market and to add to your business. So, how are we going to choose this new pillar of business, right? That is the question of the day. Like, how do you choose what is working for you? Well, some things to consider when you are choosing your new pillar business in no, like literally in no particular order. So, is it something you're good at or you like to do? Do you, like I hate calling expired. So am I good at it? No. Are you good at it in the beginning? Not always, but do you like to do it? That is a huge part of it. If you don't like to do it, you're not going to stick with it. 1000%. What is the time to develop this funnel? So there's two different numbers that we're going to talk about is it is how long to get the person to call you or to reach out to you about transacting. And then the next is the time to convert. How long, once they've gotten to you, do you have to nurture them? Are they ready to go right now? Or are they going to be ready to go in a year or 2 years? And then the cost. So there's two types of costs. There's the monetary cost and there's the time cost. Which one is it? So you have to find that balance too. If you don't have the money, you might need to move into something that maybe costs a little bit more time, like an open house, versus like money would be like pay-per-click or Zillow leads. And then what are the marketing trends? What are we seeing in the market? What are we seeing going on nationally, regionally, locally in your market that would affect that line of business? So, um, you know, things that you are good at or you like to do. Do you like to talk on the phone? So we need to identify these things. So get on your little piece of paper. What things do you like to do about what you're doing in your business right now? Do you like to talk on the phone? Do you like the social media aspect? Do you like building relationships? Do you like face-to-face conversations? Are you good at communication, follow up, that kind of thing? So identifying those items, what you like to do and what you're good at, will carry over into helping you choose what your next pillar is. If you don't like cold calling, you're not going to want to do expireds. You're just not, because you're not going to want to do anything that requires calling people. So it shouldn't be, and you might not be good at it. So timeline to develop, how long till you get the lead. So now items, pillars of business that are now Facebook or for sale by owner, expired, ZillowRealtor.com, open houses. A lot of those people are ready to transact now because they're out looking at houses, door knocking, and pay-per-click leads. But also in the 3 to 9 month segment is, someone's coming to you through Google My Business. They're probably doing research. YouTube. If you're doing a YouTube channel, most of the time, those people they've been watching you probably for a year, and then they call you. And then most of the time, they're usually not ready to transact for 3 to 6 months. So you have to get through and work through them. Same thing with social media. People talk about, oh, I'm going to get all these leads and all these people through social media. Well, to develop that following can take time. I know right now there's a guy, if you don't know who he is, his name is Bill Olson. He kind of started doing this reporting on the news thing where it's green screen. He's like finds out news in his community and he just reports neutrally on it. So he posts every day about something. And it took him an entire month posting every single day. So do you have time in your schedule and in your calendar to take that on? Just because you like doing it, does it fit? Um, and so he did that, and then he has skyrocketed his following on Instagram locally, and some of those are turning into leads. Um, Agent to agent referrals. Usually you have to develop that relationship with someone. You don't just walk there and they immediately hand you the referral all the time. I mean, it happens sometimes, but usually you have to develop a relationship. So over time, you're going to conferences, you're spending time communicating with them like you would a client, nurturing that relationship. And then things that take longer than a year. Okay, if you're going to do farming, I mean, I farmed a neighborhood for 2 years, got nothing out of it. It was either my marketing was really bad or I picked the wrong farm. But, it takes time to develop that line of business. Same thing with, any sort of community activities, your website, or even attorney and lenders. Like you need to develop a relationship with those people. So, time to convert. This is the next metric to look at when you're considering your funnel is, how long does it take once you get them into you get their name, their phone number, their email address, whatever it is, how long till they're actually ready to buy or sell real estate. So expireds, they've already been on the market. So they're ready to go now. Chances are. For sale by owner, they're on the market. Same thing. Attorneys, lenders, they can be ready depending upon, but you've already had to spend time developing that relationship with them. But most of the time, like if you have a divorce attorney, you're probably they're when they hand someone over to you, they're probably in the like let's go phases because they've already filed for divorce or they're getting ready to. Same thing with probate. If they're going to a lender. ZillowRealtor.com, they're looking to see houses. So they're ready to go. Open houses, people are coming in because they're ready. Agent to agent referrals. Now I really should pull this all the way to here because I was going through on my referral sheet and there are some leads or referrals that I was given that I'm still nurturing 2 years later. They have not purchased or sold yet, and I'm still following up with them. So this one can span the whole gamut, I'm sure. But other things, time to convert, door knocking and farming. Once you've gained the trust of those people on the door knocking and the farming, are they ready to go right away? Probably not. They probably need to prep their house or they, need to get ready to make those actions. Same thing with Facebook. They're doing the research, right? They're not necessarily ready to go right away because there's other things holding them back. Same thing with, the pay-per-click. A lot of the times when I talk to pay-per-click people, it's, they're in the database for 2 to 5 years before they're ready to go. And if they're coming to your website, kind of probably the same thing. And with all these activities, they're probably also not ready to go right away. So cost of a pillar. this is another thing to consider when you're figuring out what to add. How much money do you have right now and available to, add a new pillar of business? Do you have $4,000 or $5,000 a month to pay realtor.com for, leads? If you do, awesome. If you don't, then maybe we should be going to other things like open houses to find those quick bottom of funnel people. So, least cost or the most like affordable items, which with money affordance is also you might be spending more time doing it. So for sale by owner, you're going to be going to a lot of appointments. You're going to be making phone calls. You're going to be, if they've got an open house, you're going to go see them, set appointments, all that kind of thing. Google My Business doesn't really cost that much, but it takes a long time and you got to put a lot more effort into Google My Business. If you haven't taken Tammy Price's class, it can be a lot of work. She's posting on there somewhere between 13 and 20 times a day. So it's a lot. Her business is a lot of work. I mean, she has some people helping her with that, but it's a lot of time. Websites, it's probably not going to cost a ton of money on your website, but how long does it take to drive traffic to the website? Then next is a little bit more money. You're looking at YouTube, Facebook, agent to agent referrals because you're spending money on editors, on videographers, on, posting any sort of ads. If you do Facebook ads, that might take some money. Agent to agent referrals, you're probably traveling and going to different events. And then next, the most expensive, but can be really quick on getting you business, Zillow, agent to agent farming, and then farming. Farming, I feel like you spend a lot of money on farming. I talk to people and they're like, I mail out to 5,000 homes a month. And I'm like, okay, that times whatever. I'm like, how many thousands of dollars is that doing that? So the next thing to think about is what is going on in your market, what's going on locally, nationally, globally, and seasonally. So like right now we're in a new year. Okay. The number one day that people in the year that people look at real estate is the 26th of December online. That is the number one day for looking at real estate online. And why is that? Because we just had Christmas and people either want to be closer to the people they love or further away. The second one. But so knowing that, what's going to happen after the first of the year? Well, 7 days later, they make a New Year's resolution to basically to buy a house. So they're going to make that New Year's resolution to buy a house. Then what are they going to do? Well, they might not know a realtor. They might not know a lender. So they're going to go to open houses because a lot of people think that that's the next step. I want to start looking at houses. How do I do it? Open houses. So seasonally, I know that the first 6 weeks of the year that one of my pillars of business is open houses. The first 6 weeks of the year, I'm doing as many open houses as possible because I'm going to find as many unrepresented buyers as possible. And to point, I did one last weekend. I picked up 3 listing appointments, and 2 buyers. And those 3 listing appointments are all buy sells. So I picked up 5 new people that I can call. And all I did was sit at an open house for 2 hours on Saturday and 2 hours on Sunday. So knowing that, what's going on locally in your market? Are you short on inventory? So how are you going to you might have a lot of buyers. I'm really buyer heavy right now, but I want to find more listings because I don't have listings to put my buyers in. So knowing that locally, taking on a pillar of maybe expireds or FSBOs might be good right now, even if that's something you want to do, because those are going to be really busy. And that's also a seasonality thing. A lot of houses expired on the market on the 31st of December. And so there's tons of expireds out there if they haven't renewed them. So understanding kind of what's going on in your market will also help you figure out and pick what you're looking for. So the question is for you guys is, which pillars did your business come from in 2024? So you need to look at that first. What do you like about those pillars and why do you like them? So now, where are your current pillars in the funnel of your business? Are there any holes? Do you have a bunch right at the bottom or do you have a ton at the top? Because I was talking to people the last time I talked, people were doing all those top of funnel like activities and they had no now business. So you have to pick pillars that are throughout there to keep your funnel, unless you're ready to like do Facebook and Instagram for an entire year and do no real estate. Like otherwise, if that's cool with you and like do no transact very little on the transaction side, that's cool. But you just need to know. So when people are like, I don't have any business right now, I'm like, well, where are your pillars? Where are they in the funnel? Um, what are you good at within your current pillars? Are you good at communicating with people? Do you like to produce videos? Are you authentic and people like to hear from you? You know, what is it that brings people to you? This is once you've identified these items, this is where you're going to pick your new pillar. This is you're going to look through that list. You're going to look through, and there's a list of that was just that one screen was just a snapshot of all the pillars that are out there. There's so many different niches and every out there for you to do, depending upon where you are in your life. So next, once you've picked it, you need to know how long till your potential new pillar produces a lead, how long till that lead converts into a transacting client, and how much it's going to cost you. So knowing that, if it fits into the pillar, into your funnel where you're missing, and it fits your budget, I think that, and it fits what you like to do and how you like to do it, then that's a great new pillar for you. And it's something that you will stick with because it is something that you already kind of do. And then next, you just make sure that what is going on the market and where you can take advantages of missed opportunities. I hope that kind of gives you some ideas when you are looking at your pillars. I want to go back to this specific, where it is, this one. So this is just some of those pillars. There is a sheet, and if I can find it, I'll add it to the, later on to the recap on Work Vivo. But this itself right here is kind of a really good start. So you can find all these different areas to go and choose from. But there's another sheet that has, I mean, like almost 1,000. So I will share that out. I didn't have it prepared or ready right now. So I think that's about it. What questions, comments, like how can we help you? And what are your where are you thinking your next pillar of business is going to come from?
You know, taking this 90-day challenge, um, like you with the probate, my mother-in-law has dementia. So the last year we've been dealing with, number one, even with probate, we've learned that people are not prepared for this part of their lives, right? Parents,
Nobody
sisters,
wants to talk about it.
nobody wants to talk about it. And that's what we learned. So it started last December, and for all of 2024, it was getting my mother-in-law moved from personal home health care for 3 years to a nursing home. So it was researching nursing homes. It was making sure you're in the right place, making sure you have somebody in there with eyes on, because we're not in there, she's in a different state. That turned to legal guardianship. That turned to the house not being in a trust, so you can't get Medicaid. I mean, there is so much that I learned. So my heart is pulling me towards a completely different, like not only a niche, but like I said, maybe changing of an avatar. And even though about 80% of my business is sphere of influence because I've been doing it for so long, and then the other part is social media, and the other part is agent to agent referral. I want to go in and go after this. So what I've learned during this challenge, which made sense, was when you go to change an avatar or find a niche, it's that you have to tell that story from beginning to end. And what really made me think about this was the day that we were closing, well, not the day we were closing, but the week before we closed, we were in North Carolina, and I did a video of the house being vacant and walking around saying, it's really hard having you're closing out your family house after 20 some years of memories, right? And I realized how much response I got on that video about those scenarios, those situations. So what I've learned now with doing this challenge is that you have to tell the whole story, create a storyboard from beginning to end. It's not only branding who you are, but branding the whole journey. And I never thought about it that way. So that's what I'm working on right now, It's not easy to change an entire avatar, is what I'm learning, because there is a lot to it. So it's like, with Cash showing that timeline, it's true. I would pick one or two things and then you got to give it 6 months to a year. But if you're going to take a niche that you really want it, like probate or seniors, like we're putting together, marketing to go to, assisted livings and talk to business development and try to get in referrals that way for people that understand what we've been through because of the story that I've been through personally. There's a lot. So whatever you're going to do, you can't get frustrated with it, but you got to put all your all into it and really like tell the story, storyboard it out, show the connection, and just be authentic with it. So you got to find something that really touches you. That and people will pick up that authenticity from it. So that's what 2025 is going to be, is going down this journey of hopefully in the next 3 months of having this avatar completed. So,
And here's my
something.
question to you, Patricia. Did you ever, in your 20 plus years of business, have you ever thought about doing probate until this happened in your life?
No, because I never, it's something like you said, nobody wants to talk about it. My mom, I'm having now, all this stuff with his mom over the last year. My mom's very stubborn. I'm going through this stuff with my own mom. I mean, but my mom's in a little bit different situation, but it's different when someone like his mom, they had money, they owned a house, to my mom where she could get Medicaid. But it's like people don't want to hear it. So no, I never thought about this. So until you're in that situation, and maybe if you go through a situation like this, you don't want to be, you're like, God, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to deal with it. But I think coming from your story, like with probate, getting the vendors out, knowing how to communicate. Like I have letters going out for probate right now. I have for the last 6 months to lawyers, to certain people, but going back 8 months to a year, you don't want to look like an ambulance chaser. So there's got to be some empathy. So whatever you decide to do in a niche, you have got to feel it. You know what I mean? You can't just do it. You got to, I really now going in the situation I'm in now, no one's just going to do probate just because it, or, like Google my business page. Like you said, Tammy Price is brilliant on this. That is her thing. Not everybody's going to get business off it. Not everybody's going to get business off YouTube. You got to be 120% committed. I'm sorry, just learning this, it's the only way a niche is going to work. So you got to be fully 100% committed. So if you want to jump in feet first all the way, create the avatar and just go with it. And you got to give it a year. But this is not something you just start and go halfway in. It won't. I mean, going through what I'm going through, it won't work. I mean, so no, I never thought probate or going to talk to senior living centers or what it takes or what questions you should ask going into a nursing home. I've got a whole list of, how food intake, how you talk to them, how you have to deal with hospice, how you have to deal with the courts. I mean, there's a lot, y'all, a lot. It's like 100 to like 100 steps. It's insane. So I'm going to be telling the entire story, both video wise, but I never thought about storyboarding it out until I've been taking this challenge. So it's going to be interesting changing this entire avatar. So, but I want to do it because it's where my heart's going. So, and people need help. They really do. No one knows until you take care of somebody. Like Cass is in that situation, Terry's in that situation. You just don't understand until you're there. But I promise you, if there is no will, you better start talking to your family now because this is a subject that it can tear you apart from limb to limb. I'm telling you, emotionally, it'll wreck you. So I'm just coming from experience, just one step at a time. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm willing to help. So.
So here's my question to everybody else on the call as well. What are your pillars of business right now? Where are you getting your pillars of business? Does anyone want to share where their business came from last year?
Yeah, mine. I sphere of influence and clients referring me clients. So I
And
need to
why do you think those are very successful for you?
well, I love to be social with people. I do mini events at my house where I put like people that I'm trying to prospect that are friends and then clients and mix them all together. And so
Mhm.
strategically. And then yeah, I think that I'm doing a good job with my clients because they are calling me to send me new clients. And most of them are relocating to Houston.
What
Okay,
I
so
would do, I would,
what other pillars, now think about it, what other, if you're ready and you think you have your systems in place to add that next pillar, because that's another story that I had a debate with my coach this morning. Was I want to add another pillar, but I don't have my other ones up and running yet, completely. So you love social aspect and you love relocation. Well, I feel like we know, you know where I'm going with this, is how can you add a pillar from somewhere else to get more business that allows you to be social and allows you to deal with a lot of relocation people?
Well, my husband is gonna do the Spanish YouTube channel to
Okay.
target all, because we find out that Spanish speakers tend to be a little bit male oriented. So,
There you
he
go.
yeah, I mean, like, it's the truth. So he will look more, like the knowledge guy. And I am doing the Instagram, like in English. And I'm adding Spanish in the Instagram. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm refining my systems. I don't know if
Mhm.
any here has any account with Mosaic. I have a
Okay.
call today after this mastermind. I pay because I feel like I went and saw the demo and few agents, and I think that with that one I can set up all my systems to have everything in place for all the business that I'm hoping I'm gonna get.
Yep. And that's the big thing too, is that when you pick that pillar, what are the systems that you need to put in place? Are they going to cost money? Are they, and that's part of that cost strategy. How much are you going to be paying? And so the question is once you pay that money, how long till you start getting returns on that money, and how long until those people are transacting? Like, or till you start getting leads, and how long until they're transacting? So when you're adding those YouTube Spanish videos, obviously that's a long play. But what because it takes a while to grow that audience, to grow that influence, to grow that trust. So socially and relocation wise, I wonder, do you do a lot of open houses? I bet you'd be really great at them. And that would be bottom of funnel.
The thing is that, yeah, here now we cannot do open houses if they are not real.
Yeah, my state, both of my states are that way. So that was a struggle when we talk about what's going on globally, like we had a pandemic. I switched to Real Broker pretty much right when the pandemic was going on. And I was like, "Oh, now what do I do? I can't do open houses. I can't, and there's not a lot of agents in my market that are with Real. So like I have no ability to do open houses. So that's why I started looking to find other pillars, because that one became something I couldn't do for a while because I didn't have a ton of listings. I mean, I did them when I had listings, but when there's only three people in your local market, including yourself, that are with Real Broker, and you can't do open houses if they're not for your brokerage, it makes it a little difficult. So looking at that and understanding that, who else wants to share where they got what their pillars were last year? Don't all jump at
I
once.
know for me,
Rossi, a suggestion you
Brandy.
know what else you could do? Because you, like with me, with your sphere of influence, since it's good, and that's where you get a lot of your business from, and you relocation, I would market to your sphere about trying to get into their companies and maybe going in and doing like a workshop, buying a home, what's going on in 2025, how has the market changed, and doing it broad. A lot of companies will offer that for an incentive to their, say I'll bring in lunch, can I do a lunch and learn type thing? Or maybe so, asking them, hey, whose company would allow me, to come in and do this? I mean, I would definitely, use that sphere of influence to help you because those are people that know and trust you and like you. So maybe that's an avenue that they can open up for you, which would open up your relo, which you could also say, obviously Spanish speaking, so we could also do it in Spanish. And or if not, do you know a company that would allow us in? So that could be something you could, market to your sphere about.
Brandy, you were going to share with us?
yeah. So last year, my most of my business was from my sphere, but also like repeat clients. or recommendations from previous clients. But I just moved to another state, so I am starting fresh. So here we go again. So it should be fun to rebuild it all again.
Yeah. Where are you at these days?
So I'm in Colorado now, just like north of Denver.
Okay.
But previous to that, I was in Montana.
Okay. Good luck. I miss Denver a lot. I used to live in like close to Littleton. Um, and it was beautiful. I miss it a lot. So I'm very jealous. And you have lived in Montana too, also jealous of that because I love and miss the mountains a lot. So Denver has a lot of opportunities. If you were sphere of influence and repeat, where did a lot of your sphere come from when you were in Montana?
Um, Gosh, it was a mix, but some of it was like church. Um, And then some of it was like my husband from his like people he worked with. So
Hmm.
I got some of my business from that, which is why we moved here because his corporate office is here. So we're seeing a lot of people moving from or to here for his office. So that's probably one of the places that I'm gonna focus on is, working with that relocation stuff again.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really good opportunity. Obviously, now that you've moved to a new place, you're probably looking for a new church. So getting involved there, obviously, you really like, it sounds like you're really good with building those relationships. And that is building relationships can be a very top of the funnel activity. So the other question is where is a place that you could build really good relationships right now, if you're looking for the business like now or 6 months down the line. So
Right.
when you're picking your next niche, like you love that face to face, do you want to do more like social media type stuff or, so considering that you're really good at building, I would try to find something bottom of funnel that would build relationship and build trust. And I know it's difficult when you move to a new market because that's what I did and then got my real estate license and didn't know anybody here.
Yeah,
So
and that's how my Montana business was. I started right when I got there.
mhm.
So it was kind of the same starting at ground zero.
Yeah. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of kind of what to look at and where to look at because the pillars might not be the same between, your Montana and Colorado as well because the culture is different, the location, the demographics are different, the atmosphere, politically, socially, all of that stuff is considered when you're looking at pillars or should be considered. So, who else? Anybody?
I'm happy to share.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie. What you got?
Well, about 20 years ago, my career started in new construction real estate. And so a lot of my sphere I've stayed in touch with through Facebook and have done community events in their local park. So I had like a neighborhood safety social. I did a Memorial Day barbecue and watermelon eating contest there. We did just all sorts of really fun things in the park, movie night in the park. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors. And then while they were, I tease about this, but while they were hostage, sitting on the the blankets watching the movie, I could walk around and bring them candy and ask if they wanted to be on my newsletter list for any updates. So that was helpful. And then as those families decided to move on or change, then I was staying in touch with them. And then as their children were growing up, now they're purchasing homes from me. So just staying in touch through social media. And I thought through some of the courses that I had been through at like the expos, the California Association of Realtors expos, that we need to be posting all the time on social media, and I wasn't really comfortable with my voice. I didn't like how I looked. I had to get over that. But really, where most of that engagement happened was that I was direct messaging people. So most of my business came from social media, but through, hey, I see you're graduating from whatever, or your kid's graduating, or I see you have a new baby. Can I send a card over? So that was really helpful for me. And then I got married about 7 years ago and moved to a new location, but was a manager of an office. And so now that we've joined Real's taking all of the back end off of us. So I lost my position with that. So I'm reinventing in this new area as well. So, I mean, it's all good things, all exciting things, but like, some of you have mentioned too, relocating to a new area and rebuilding and starting fresh is kind of where I'm at right now too.
What kind of, so you have history in new construction. Is there new construction a lot where you're at now?
There is new construction where I'm at. I actually worked for the builder, so that, helped me get to know, lots of people that way. And there is new construction here. Yeah, a lot of it.
I think I've maybe reaching out and getting to know, kind of becoming the little bit of the local expert on that type of stuff and being ready, and you already have a base knowledge. So it's just
Yeah,
getting to know the relationships with who is available, and you're good at keeping up with people and doing relationships. It sounds like, so finding those people, because there's a lot of times that I don't know when you were in the new construction, but I have relationships with them, and like they might have someone come in and want to buy a new construction house, but they need to sell a house. So then those
absolutely.
those people are calling me. So being in there, being their front of mind. So not just and that's kind of how like people succeed in other business to business activities, is that you're kind of front of mind, you're still there, you're developing that relationship. So whether it's with a lender or an attorney or a new construction community manager, is developing those relationships so that they know the same way that you do with your clients,
Yeah,
and building that trust that way. So
yeah.
that's an avenue. It sounds like you kind of like some social media type stuff. Is there a way that I would think and look, and is there a way that other people out in the market, in the ecosphere, um, are they leveraging new construction and social media, and is that something that you can do too? So I know like people are doing new construction like home tours, and they do
Yeah,
like little shorts. If you do like that, maybe you can put your own swing on it and kind of make it funny, be like, do you like to use CapCut and edit videos? Maybe not. Maybe you just kind of do the video and be like, hey, like, and then it's more of a knowledge base versus like oh my gosh, this is an amazing video. It's more like you're bringing some really useful knowledge to that area.
that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. I will do that. Thank you.
You're
Natalie,
welcome.
can I ask you what a neighborhood safety social looks like?
Yeah, I actually engaged with many of the companies around us. And so it was in the park. We had Home Depot. They donated as a raffle a big bucket of carbon monoxide, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, door latches for children, the toilet latches, like all kinds of safety things in their bucket. And then they set up a tent and they had like a little station where kids could put on the goggles and wear the little aprons and, work on things. We had SPCA out there and they came and brought their truck of pets, but also talked about how to engage animals and that sort of thing. The fire department came out and they have to undo their truck every so often and put the hoses back in properly. And so they brought out their uniforms and let kids try them on. They talked about escape routes in homes. They had a booth. They talked about fire safety. I had a home inspector come and he had a list of things that people should look at for safety features and what are the most common dangers that happen in homes. And it's usually like Christmas lights or that sort of a thing. So I like involving community businesses in the sort of things that I do. And many times they will contribute back and then they will post on their social media that, hey, they're a part of this thing. And then I can do wrap ups and follow ups like in a newsletter style or email style, thanking these people and tagging them again too. And
That
then
is
the other
not
thing I did in the
where I,
neighborhood, Yeah. Well, the
I
other thing
thought you were going to like, don't let people not, if they knock on your door, don't answer the door, or like
well,
I
we
thought
had neighborhood
that was
watch.
the kind of stuff that you were thinking, but I like this much better. So this is
I
awesome.
I'm a little bit like Cass with the I'm an extroverted introvert. So I like doing events like once a quarter is better for me than door knocking, multiple times a week. And then what I liked to do also in the neighborhood is that, hey, we're having a neighborhood social and I need some help. So I would recruit people from each street of that neighborhood, and they became my neighborhood resource. So they would flyer their street, invite people in, help with communications and organization. Hey, we need a 6-foot table. I have lots of 6-foot tables, but people want to feel like they contribute and they want to be a part of things. And so asking them to contribute really rewarded me, I think, a lot more in that situation by can you bring, a flat of water from Costco? Can you bring a
Yeah.
table? Can you bring a cake?
I don't see why you can't just redo that right now, regardless of if you're living in the community or not. I would go make friends with the the new construction community manager and ask if you can do that in that community. That's what I would do.
I
And
haven't
you
even
could
thought
just
of that.
make community, bam. And like you can just be the realtor for that community. Build the community. Like they don't need to know you don't live there. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
you live close by. Like I
Yeah,
mean, it might be a little bit more beneficial to live in the neighborhood, but still, like a lot of new construction is very, those people are not necessarily marketed to as much as someone who is in a resale neighborhood.
true.
So
Yeah,
because the
I
houses are constantly being built and things are going on and like people aren't like usually people don't sell for 2 to 5, 7 years.
right.
So they're not nearly getting as much love and attention. It might take you a little bit more time to build that relationship because the community is building. But like if you've already done it and done it successfully, like you're just taking a little bit of a different avenue as like you're the realtor that is not necessarily selling the houses, but
Yeah.
One of the things too that you can do is like looking on your MLS at that specific neighborhood, you can really figure out how many homes are selling and are the majority of them already being sold by one particular agent? Because
Oh,
that's a good way to see if somebody already has that market.
that's a great idea to look at too.
I think RPR, is it RPR or there's another website that like can kind of tell you
Yeah,
who's got a bulk of the business. I can't remember what it's called.
I think you're right. I think it's RPR. It's through NAR, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Through, yeah. And so it depends on the state because like in Montana, Montana is they don't release the information. So they don't share like sales and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So RPR doesn't work in that state. So you really have to kind of check your state to see if that is shared.
Yeah.
I'll check into
And
it.
then we did have one question too. Um so I think that Natalie, I really want to see where you go with this. I'm really
Okay.
like super excited about it because the world is kind of your oyster right now in that aspect. So it's like you can build your business any way you want right now. It's a little hard once you've built your business to like change it, but when you're, that fresh start and, move to a new location or whatever it may be, like that gives you a lot of latitude to figure out, maybe I had this in my business before, but maybe I didn't like doing it. I
Right.
just did it because it gave me a lot of business. So,
True.
the one other question that we had before we go, because we are at the top of the hour and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Patricia, what is the 90-day challenge? Brandy was asking what it was.
It's Phil. Oh, my voice. Um, Intercompany. Oh my God, I just went blank on his last
Is it
name.
Phil Jones
Not Jones.
or
Grace,
Phil?
Gerdes. He's doing this 90-day shift. So what it is like every day comes up with something we have to do. Like today's an affirmation, like come up with some affirmations. The other one was like come up with like questions to like when you interview, potential clients. So every day there's a thing, and every Friday we have a call. So there's probably about 27 people on it. And I saw it because last 90 days, I think Tammy was doing it. So, and I asked about it and then I saw an advertisement about it. So I wanted, it's always good to start a new year with a mind shift. So I think he does it a lot. So I'll put his name in here and you guys can look him up. But so far, like I said, it's something to do every day. He sends out an email except for Saturdays and Sundays, and then Fridays we have a call. So it's been really good. So far, so good. So
Cool.
mm.
Anything else, ladies? Well, appreciate your time. We've got a lot of great new and more masterminds coming along next month. We're going to have Miss Laura with systems and processes. She is the queen of system and process, so it should be a good time. I know I need a lot of help with that. Otherwise, just want to remind you, please be active and post and hang out on WorkVivo. I know it's been a little bit of a difficult shift to that, but we are trying to get there and get it up and going. And I think it sounds like they might be doing some classes on how to use WorkVivo, brokerage wide, but we just want to stick with it, stick there. So anyways, thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you guys got something from it today. Everything will be uploaded onto WorkVivo for later if you want to watch it again. But I wish you the best here in 2025, and we will see you again next month. So thanks, everybody.